Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hello. Hi, my name is Dee Bostic, and good afternoon, my fellow writers and authors, and especially the readers. I hope everyone is happy to be here. I'm happy to be here, stepping out of my comfort zone, but you have to take one step at a time and learn how to do things. So I'm here to talk about my book, my new book, Love, Lies, and Lab Coats. If you can see that there. As you can see, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and of course, the Reader's Magnet. Reader's Magnet, I'm finding to be a wonderful marketing company, and their author relations officers are very helpful in helping you to get things going. But anyway, so again, welcome to everyone who's here. It's just kind of funny not seeing you guys, knowing you guys can see me, but that's okay. If you have any questions, I guess you drop them in the chat and we'll go from there. But anyway, as I said, I'm the author of Love, Lies, and Lab Coats. I actually self-published this book a few years ago, okay? It didn't... It did well with people that I know, okay? People that you know will always buy your book, and it was mostly coworkers. But at any rate, at that point in time, I didn't know much about marketing and so forth. So the book kind of went dormant for a while. And I was writing other things, but not really pursuing it. I was still working at the time. I'm now retired, so I have more time to pursue writing, to because that's something that I've always wanted to do. But as I said, I self-published this a while back, and one day I was just out in my yard, and this lady shows up. She was asking me if she could have some figs, and I didn't know this woman. I said, how do you even know I have a fig tree? And so as it turns out, this woman used to live in my home, and she described the house inside out. So I was like, okay, I guess she's legit. So anyway, we shared her, we gave her some figs, and one thing led to another. And she says, by the way, I'm a writer. That's what I do in my free time when I'm not selling tuxedos. I was like, okay. And I said, well, I'm a writer as well, but I'm just kind of not writing as much as I'd like to right now. And she asked me what I'd written, and I pulled out my old copy of Love, Lies, and Lab Coats and showed that to her. I'll show it to you. This was the original, but if you buy my book, when you buy my book, please buy the new one, because I had gone back and edited and so forth and so on. It reads a lot cleaner and easier, and the typos are gone and so forth. But anyway, so this woman had a connection with Reader's Magnet, and so she took a copy of my book, and the rest is history. Now I'm with Reader's Magnet, hopefully, for a long time, and will be writing more books and continuing to work with them. So what do I want to talk about today? I don't really know. I'm just keeping it real. Writing is a very private thing. It can be anywhere from making you want to jump off a bridge, or to calming you down, or it can just do a lot of things for you depending on where you are in your life, what you're writing about. Is it something that comes from within, or is it some strange fantasy world? So the writing will do, the reactions that you have will depend, of course, on what you're writing, where that comes from. And it can be very therapeutic. And I use writing that way to come to terms with some things. I mean, we've all had things in life that we need to come to terms with. And so what I did with this book, Love, Lies, and Lab Coats, pretty much most of my characters in there are solving a problem that I actually had at some point in my life. And so that's how this came about, because when you read all of the books about writing, how to write this, how to write that, and the other, they tell you to write what you know. Okay. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's not good. It depends on what you know, I guess, what you want to talk about. But for me, I used it therapeutically to deal with some things that were kind of in my brain at the time. But it's also a workplace drama, because I'm sure many of you are still working. A lot of people are working from home now since we had COVID, that whole fiasco. But if you're in I had a large workplace. There are stories in the workplace, amazing stories that will probably never be told, other than you tell one coworker, you know what happened last week? My neighbor did this, my neighbor did that, his dog did this, or whatever the case may be. All kinds of things happen to us in life. And so I decided, because of course I was familiar with my workplace, and I'm a retired medical technologist. A lot of people are not aware just how important the medical technology job is to the patient's recovery and well-being. I journal a lot as well. Something coming. Yes, Cassandra. That's a good thing, because it's a place for you to go. It's your private place to journal. And what really inspires you to write this book? Okay, Alyssa. So as I was trying to say, my coworkers inspired me to write this book, because there was just so much energy, so many stories, so many different things go on at work. You're with a certain number of people, depending on how large your workplace is, for 8 hours a day. And there are, like I said, there are stories there. So I was having a hard time initially coming up with a concept, but I was in the military, and I had been stationed on the West Coast in Spokane, Washington, a place that I love. It's always been dear to my heart. So I decided, and at the time that I was there, there was a very small percentage of people of color living in that state, in Washington State at the time. This was a long time ago, 1980. Okay. And so I was always seen in the crowd, let's say, because the majority of the population was Caucasian, which was fine. It was just, I always stuck out in that crowd. And the interactions were different than what I was used to, because I'm a New Yorker. So coming from New York, which was kind of a melting pot, I lived with people from all walks of life in New York. But once I got into Washington State, it was black and white, and not as much black as white. So I decided I wanted to write something. And the other thing I noticed in Washington State at that time, there were a lot of interracial couples and so on, which was a beautiful thing. I think that was a beautiful thing. And so I decided I would have an interracial couple in my story, because there's a certain dynamic there. There's all kinds of things that go on because each party brings different things to the table. That was number one. Number two, again, I wanted to focus my characters in the laboratory because the laboratory is important to me. Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks for that welcome. I appreciate it. But anyway, I wanted to bring that aspect to the forefront, as well as what medical technologists do without burdening everybody with all the intricacies, because it's pretty involved. But I wanted to give just enough so people could say, wow, okay, so the doctors don't really do it all. They really do need medical technologists. Yes, they do. More about that at some time if you want to know. Thank you, Mary Brown. I appreciate that. So I, again, because of the workplace, and there were some other things going on at the time. There was some negative activity. I mean, you're going to have good and bad wherever you're at. So I wanted to try to write a story involved in the workplace, and I tried to wrap a love story around it because I really do enjoy love stories. I do believe words are important, and I with everything that I write, I want to try to put some more love in the world, even though there's going to be some conflict, because nobody wants to just read a book where everything is love, 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 love. You got to have some opposite, something the opposite of that to, come up with some sort of a balance. But the love story is my main focus because, okay, I love stories. What else can I say on that? So anyway, but the main thing is, as far as writing this book, I have a lot of characters because at the time I had a lot of issues that I wanted to discuss. And I've learned a lot since writing that book. I mean, some people feel I had too many characters. Okay, I like all my characters. Some of you may, some of you may not. But the point is, I'm hoping that there's a character in there for everybody, that someone will find. Tired of writing, we have doubts in completing the book. No, not really, Claire. I didn't get tired of writing this particular book. This may sound strange to you, but at some point, I was just sitting there writing. These characters were dancing around in my head. They were actually talking, and I was just the instrument through which, those characters came through. I know that sounds weird, but because it sounds weird to me, but it really did happen. And I guess they call that your muse, when the story is just there and you're just the instrument and you help it find a life. And so it was weird. Yeah, it was weird because it didn't even take that long to write it once I got into it, Thank you, Julie. What a nice comment. I appreciate that. So no, I didn't get tired of it. And I think I have started some things that I did get tired of. So they're kind of in my file cabinet. And maybe at some point, I can pull them back out and use them as ideas. I didn't throw them away. In fact, when I was writing Love, Lies, and Lab Coats, it was hard for me to throw any of the words away because I just thought, hey, I got this. I'm saying what I need to say and everything. Well, I later found out sometimes you can say too much. You have to leave some things for the reader to try to figure out. And I'm honestly not that great at that yet, where they talk about telling and don't do too much telling, do more showing. I kind of struggle with that one a little bit because I just tell it like it is. I just put it all out there. But that's why as a writer, you continue to try to learn how to write so that you can write better as time goes on. So that did happen for me in Reader's Magnet wanting to do this book. I pretty much rewrote it and eliminated a lot of words. You think as a writer, when you write something, you are married to every single word that you write. And Lee May, wow, that's amazing. Can't wait to know more about the book. Can you share to us your favorite part in it? My favorite part. Okay. My favorite part is the love story portion between Travis and Cindy, because each of them were struggling with different issues in their lives. And they became, they got to work together in the lab. And I won't say one thing led to another. I guess it kind of did. But Cindy is a little bit shy and insecure. And Travis was just a brilliant technologist and a very gentle spirit who had some anxiety issues. And they got to know each other and started spending more time together and talking and working and so forth and so on. And going out, then you go out to have a meal, and it just kind of goes from there. But I think my favorite part would be the Travis and Cindy portion of it, because again, I really like I love love stories. So for two people to find each other that have something to share with each other, and then they can share their love for each other, I think that would be my favorite part. But then there's this cook in the book, and I love to cook too. So it's hard for me to just single one thing out, but I would say that Travis and Cindy were my main. You expecting a happy ending in Travis and Cindy's? Should I really say that? Okay, because there's a cliffhanger. This book here is volume 1, and volume 2 is coming out shortly. And so I don't think I should tell you what's going to happen in volume 2, because then you'll say, well, I don't have to buy the book because she already told us. So I'm not going to tell you that part. I hope that's okay. Especially the difference in the way they think. How do you capture this in your book? Okay. I guess that's why I have so many characters in my book. But some of it comes from, again, my coworkers, just people that I've experienced in life when I was growing up, relatives, extended family, their mannerisms, their language, their way of expressing themselves. So it's a lot of things. It just kind of depends on what your interests are, what things you like. I mean, are you gravitated towards the way a person talks, or the things they talk about, or what interests them, or let's say how they grew up? or some of the differences, like the way you yourself are compared to maybe another person. Or like some people like to say, my mom is good for this. I would never do something like that. But just because you wouldn't do it doesn't mean that somebody else wouldn't do it or would do it, right? So I guess I try to look at people where they're at and find a way to try to bring them together, to intermingle them, because we're all different. We all bring something different to the table. And unfortunately, we do have those people out there who feel it's your way, their way, or the highway. And that's just not the way life is. It made more interested to read your book. Makes sense. It made more interested. Okay. Um, well, so the characters really, once you start writing, I think the characters do come to you. I don't want to try to sound mystical or like something just flopped out of heaven, but once you're engaged with a certain subject matter and you have situations that are occurring, the characters kind of take you to that next place that you need to go with them. And then again, I also use social commentary. So these are things that people are familiar with, may identify with. And then, not just coming at you like a news story, but maybe people discussing a certain issue that they have in their life. Love stories that only focus on their own or transforms their lives, adding more. Exactly. That's exactly right. I totally agree with that, Cassandra. Because that's why I could never do like erotica or anything like that, because those stories just kind of stay in the bedroom and there's more to life than the bedroom. Some people would disagree with that, but I do feel that, you have to kind of make well round your character, have he or she do something other than just be engaged in that romantic, or sexual or whatever. Um, okay, Eloise commented, I love cliffhangers. If a book were to end with one, I'm most certainly going to buy the next book. Oh, that sounds great. I hope you will do that. I hope you will enjoy reading volume 1 and also look forward to volume 2, because it's coming out very shortly. Reader's Magnet does a great job in getting your projects out there. So I'm hopeful that some of you guys that are on this feed, if you're writers, you will definitely use them. I'm enjoying the experience that I'm having with them. So yeah, Eloise, I hope you have a lot of friends that you can invite them to look into volume 1 and then go on and purchase volume 2. So thank you for that. And I'm hoping, okay, George Carlin, when writing multiple, how do you not get confused with one profile and arc to the next? You just get confused, okay? Let's just keep it real. And I had to go back, and the other problem, I'm not that great with outlines, but that's what helped me to not get confused. After writing so many things, I had to go back and sit down and write, okay, Travis, blah, 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 Cindy, and so forth. And so each character, and what was their motivation? Why were they there? What were they doing? What did they want to accomplish? So you basically are going to have to, maybe I suggest doing a little small biography of each character, how you want that character to show up, and what you want them to say, what you want them to add to your story. So that definitely, I think, is the only way to not get confused. And Kelly, I love books that include a lot of characters, as such a realistic touch because of real life. Exactly. And see, that's what I was thinking when I had all these people in the book. But again, there are some people who don't care for that. I had one contest that I entered the book in, and it was Judge 37, and I'll never forget that judge. I don't know the name, but anyway, they tore my characters apart, and they said, well, these two could make a story, and these two could make another story, and so forth. But I like them all together, because when you go to another chapter, okay, so Travis and Cindy just ended up doing this, but now we're going on with this guy and we're seeing what he's doing. And then we're going back to Travis and Cindy, or we're going to someone else. It just kind of, for me, kept it moving. So I just like more characters. But how do you ensure your book didn't romanticize the hardships in life? Ooh, that's a good one. How do you ensure your book didn't romanticize the hardships in life? Not sure I can really answer that question. I just think, though, some of the things that I did write about are very realistic. I don't think I can give you the best answer that you're looking for, Margaret. So I'm not gonna try to take that any further. So I'm just going to move on. I'm sorry. I hope I, don't offend you with that, but I'm not sure how to really give you a good solid answer on that particular question. But anyway, I think I was talking about characters. So yeah, in my next book that'll be coming out, it's called 3,000 Miles of Separation. I have fewer characters, but again, not so few. Okay, maybe 3 or 4 fewer than what's in this book. But I just like characters because you can. I like writing dialogue. I'm pretty good with dialogue, so I guess I just got to have someone else for my characters to talk to, and so that's just me. I mean, everybody has something different that they look for in a book. I hope you'll find something interesting, exciting in my book so that do you have a favorite character on your book? Yeah. My absolute favorite character, I would have to say, is Dr. Henry. One of my favorite characters because I find a lot of doctors nowadays have lost their bedside manner, and that's so important. Doctors should really listen to you, regardless of how crazy you may sound when you talk to them. They should listen to where you're at and try to help you get to where you need to go. And I believe that's why the person that I wanted Dr. Henry to be the doctor that listened, who still cared, who showed empathy, and not one who just says, well, I can't help you with that. I had a doctor that like that. In fact, I was put out of a doctor's practice because I refused to just say to take the medication that they were requiring at the time. And 15 years later, I'm still not on that medication. I learned how to correct a lot of things in my life with the proper foods, nutrient-dense foods. That's a subject for another day. But yes, Dr. Henry would be my favorite character in that regard. Second to, I guess, well, Travis and Cindy are the main characters. But anyway, our time is gone. Boy, that went quickly. I hope you guys will buy the book. It's been a pleasure being here today. And I look forward to many book sales. What else can I say? Thank you so much, all of you who came today. And I hope this was with some sort of benefit to the writers, to other authors, whomever is listening. So thank you again for your time.